Hi everybody, I'm Greg Fishel. Welcome to bonus weather video number 1 for this week. And as I mentioned in the daily weather update, this was inspired by one of my subscribers. He saw the crescent moon and the sun literally right next to each other and wondered how that was possible. And I actually had to go back and do a little bit of review myself on all of this. And it really is fascinating to see how these three celestial bodies interact with each other and what we see and don't see here from the perspective of being on the Earth. So let me go on ahead and make myself a little smaller here, and we'll go on ahead and first talk about some interesting facts about the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon. Well, as you all know, the Earth orbits the Sun once each year. And the Earth rotates about its own axis as it orbits the Sun. And one complete rotation takes 23 hours and 56 minutes, not exactly 24 hours, which has other implications in terms of the sunrise and sunset times and all of that. But that's a topic for another day. So the Earth is rotating around the Sun, like they're orbiting the Sun, and as it's doing that, it's spinning on its own axis as it goes around the Sun, okay? So a lot of complexities there. Now, the Moon orbits the Earth, and it takes 27.3 days to complete one orbit. And here's the fascinating thing. It takes the Moon that, that exact amount of time to complete one rotation about its own axis. So we always see the same side of the Moon, regardless of how illuminated or not illuminated it is. We are always looking at the same side of the Moon. I think that's absolutely fascinating. And then the phases of the Moon have nothing to do with the Earth casting a shadow, the Moon casting a shadow. All of that is independent of that. The only time that we get into the shadow business is during lunar and solar eclipses, and we'll talk more about one of those in just a little bit. So, how can we see the Sun and the Moon at the same time? Well, here's the Sun, and the diagram there that I've shown about the Moon, this is intended to show a crescent here, and the rest of the Moon is here, but it's dark. It's not being illuminated by the Sun. So the Sun is illuminating this side of the Moon, but we can't see most of that. We can see just a teeny little bit as that light leaks around the edge, and that's why we see the crescent moon. And obviously from the Earth, we also can see the Sun very, very clearly. And of course, these planets are not, or planets and moons and suns are not drawn to scale. They're not the right distance from each other and all of that type of thing. It's just an illustration. So again, when we're in this position, we can certainly see the Sun as the rays are coming toward us, but we can also see a little bit of this light leaking around from the back side of the Moon from our perspective. And so we see a crescent and we see the Sun, and they're both on the same side of the sky at the same time. Now, what happens during an eclipse? Oh, by the way, I had forgotten about this. This is really stupid, but I used to joke about the fact that everybody talks about during an eclipse you should never look directly at the Sun, and that's true. And so I came up with a safe way to view an eclipse, is that you take a paper clip and you unbend it and cut off one part, tape it to the middle, and so the clip is now in the shape of a letter E. And so it then becomes an E-clip. And if you do 2 of those, it's an eclipse, and you can look at it any time of day and not have to worry about your eyes getting hurt at all. So, all right, so what goes on with the solar eclipse here? So here we have the Sun, and we have the Moon, and we have the Earth, okay? Now the Sun's rays are coming in, and they are illuminating this side of the Sun, but for us, it's a new moon, okay? The lighted part is completely non-visible from the standpoint of the Earth. And when they're in direct alignment like this, as we look at it here, the Moon is casting a shadow that completely obscures all of the Sun. So instead of seeing a bright yellow Sun, it basically goes dark, but you have to have that absolute perfect alignment between those 3 bodies in order for you to get that effect of the eclipse. So the shadow comes into play here, but the phases of the Moon are all determined by where the Sun and the Moon and the Earth are with respect to each other. and how much of that illuminated area we see. We go from seeing none of it when we have a new moon to seeing all of it when we have a full moon, and then you have all the different phases in between. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. And let's see, how can I put this? When I first thought about making the graphics for this today, I certainly didn't plan it that way, but it just turned out. Okay. All right, that's bonus weather video number 1 for this week. Bonus weather video number 2 will be coming up tomorrow. Hope you'll join me for that. In the meantime, have a great Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Take care.